Hey guys, welcome to NA Turbo. I'm back with you again. Thought I'd just do another little vlog, just with a few updates on things from my the home of my lovely Volkswagen Tiguan. And yes, I know people are going to be screaming like blue murder. Oh no, you've got an SUV. Yes, I have. I love it. I know it's not, the ultimate practicality. You can get estate cars that are more practical. But I'm going to out myself as a secret SUV lover because I do. The Tiguan that I've got is great. But this wasn't the point of the blog. So really, I'm just going to do a little update on old Hannibal the Supra that we haven't seen for a little while. So some of you may know, if you've watched the videos before, that after spending sort of £700 on him doing the core plug in the block, which is where I thought all the water was leaking from, literally about 100 miles after that, the car decided that now it wasn't going to have any water leaks, that it would find the next weakest point, which was the head gasket, as we'd suspected for quite a while. But I was desperately hoping that it would hang on and that it wasn't. Unfortunately, it was. Every time you sort of put the car onto turbo, it decided to chuck its water out of the expansion bottle. Luckily, it never actually got to the point of overheating, because all the fans that are on the Mark III Supra and the water that's in the block, plus the radiator itself that I'd renewed some time ago, kept the car well cool. So that was a really good job, actually. And unlike a lot of cars, some BMWs in particular that I've had in the past, which would go straight to overheating, this one didn't. It kept itself well cool. So it was fine for that. But yeah, I had to admit, it was finally time that I got it investigated. And having spent the summer lockdowns, me and my brother tearing it apart, I couldn't face tearing it apart again. Plus, I'm still working from home through lockdown. My brother's working, so it wasn't, obviously with winter as well coming, the best time to do it. Luckily, sort of thanks to a bit of a bonus from work I got, I was actually able to pay somebody to do some work on it this time. So brilliant mechanic that I know has actually done it in his spare time for me, which is great. So it's took a little bit longer than it would normally do, but he's done that for me. I'll insert some sort of clips of sort of stills of the car he's took for me as he was going along, just sort of round about here. And yeah, as you can probably see, it sort of took a lot of dismantling pretty much to where I had it before, other than this time the head was off. So when we sort of took it apart and looked at it, it had pretty much blown the head gasket on all cylinders, which, given it wasn't using any water off turbo at all, it was really unusual. And it wasn't overheating off turbo. It's just literally as soon as you engage the turbo in it, then that's when it did it. But you can, with that car, quite happily drive it just as a normal 3-litre engine without the turbo, because the turbo really puts in a maximum of sort of 6 psi, so it's quite low anyway. So yeah, he stripped it apart. I sent the head off to a local engineering company. Big up to sort of T&L Engineering in Bedford. No, they're not sponsoring me or anything, but I've took cars to them for head and block work for years, and Barry runs it's fantastic. So he basically skinned the head down. It had cracked in places, so he welded it and did an amazing job, and it was really, for the work he did, it was really cheap. So I'm thankful for that. It was a bit of money saved on what I expected. So then the head went back to the mechanic, and literally as of sort of yesterday, he's finished rebuilding it back up again. So hopefully it's going to be sort of shipped back to me anytime soon, and I'll have Hannibal the Supra back again. Hopefully he's going to behave himself this time, because although the mechanic did me a great rate on it, just the sheer time of taking a Mark III Supra apart is ridiculous. Sort of I think the book time for the head gasket somewhere around 14 or 15 hours. It's a lot of involved work. There's so many parts, and it's so many vacuum pipes that are there for everything, because the car's got cruise control that works on a vacuum. It's got so many advances and things for various parts of the engine, so it's a heck of a big job to pretty much strip down the whole engine. So literally that's all I did, the head gasket and the head, because although the bottom end's done 170,000+ miles, it doesn't use any oil, and touch wood, it's going to be okay. It's a well-running engine. Those engines are so underpowered anyway. I've kept it pretty much standard at 240 horsepower. The turbo I've got on it now, I think is putting a bit more out, but at some point I will get it sort of rolling roaded just to see what it's putting out. My intention wasn't to tune it, but I think the turbo I got, which was an eBay special, seems to put out more than 4 psi. So whether my original turbo and the wastegate was just so sort of knackered after 30 odd years that it wasn't putting out what it should, but I seem to think this one's probably putting out somewhere around 9 or 10, so it's probably doing more than the 240 brake that it had as standard, but she can cope with it, so that's fine. But yeah, so hopefully I'm getting Hannibal back. Just going to obviously do the run-in, which means no, full turbo or anything like that for sort of 300+ miles. So I'll hopefully do a video on that soon, just to sort of update you on that. But hopefully then he's going to behave himself, because other projects, the Corrado, Rado the Corrado's been pretty good. He has got a head gasket leak, which he's had for sort of a few years now, that just drips out the side of the block oil. So it's not internal or anything at the moment. It could blow, but fingers crossed it hasn't. But the next job for that is going to be a head gasket on that one as well, because I think I mentioned before as well, the car was converted from an automatic, so the gearbox it's got in it at the moment is a bit like stirring a pudding, because it came off a VR6 Golf that the guy had, that I bought the whole car off in bits, so God knows how many miles it's done. But it is a bit like stirring a pudding sometimes. So I've got a low mileage, sort of 60,000 mile gearbox that's been sat in the garage for a good few years now. So the next thing will be to get the Corrado head gasket change. I'm going to do the timing chains as well on those, because it's been in there 140,000. They don't tick or anything, but I'm in there, so I might as well do that. Hydraulic lifters as well tick slightly when it's cold, so I might as well replace those. And as I say, put the new gearbox on, so hopefully she'll be a bit tighter then. So that's next year, hopefully, if I can save up some money to do that. What else? Yeah, so that's sort of about it. Hannibal will need his bodywork doing in the very near future. It's definitely going to need new rear quarters and arches, at the very least arches cutting in. Luckily Ryan, who you saw in a previous video, is an ace welder, so he's going to do that for me. But again, we don't want to use sort of have to make parts, because that's a lot of time and effort involved in that. And we're hoping that I can find, thanks to eBay, sort of some from the States where the cars have been drier, so the rot's not been in there, and we can weld those in, because some of the work he does on other cars and things I've seen for his actual day job is, fabricating stuff from scratch is a lot of time and effort in that. So yeah, hopefully we can get some that I can sort of we can chop in and do that from it. But yeah, I've still got a couple of things in mind for Hannibal. So we've got his original wheels that came with him, the Medallion Man white wheels. So I do have an idea of sort of putting him back to standard. So I want to get those repainted the car colour, which is brilliant. It's Toyota White 040. Great naming of colours back in the 90s for Toyota. But yeah, it's simple. You can get it everywhere. So hopefully he'll be on those. I've recovered the centre armrest that was a bit manky and horrible now with an actual leather piece, so that's going to go in, and yeah, we're just going to get him up a bit more fresher. But next thing, I'm hoping it'll last sort of another year, perhaps 2, to do the bodywork, because it's a big job, it needs a lot of dry weather and a lot of time and commitment to do the body work on it, like my brother does every day for his day job, and other guys that do it at restoration companies. Hats off to them, because it really is an art form when you look at it, and it's not as simple as just cutting something out and slapping a patch in or whatever, if you want to do it properly so it looks remotely nice. you know, so it's a lot of time and effort in that. But he's finishing off his Rover SD1 project that he's got, so hopefully he'll have a bit more time to help me out on that. And as we showed, I think the other day, in a very poorly sound video, the 1960s Hillman will be doing a bit more stuff on that as well. So yeah, keep safe everybody, and hopefully tune into the channel. If you do watch, sort of please hit like and subscribe. I'm not doing this for a business or anything, but I would love just to get stuff more out there to people. So yeah, take care for now, and